You better listen and you better pay attention. The worst place for you to be is to be in the mental space where you believe that you're empowering yourself, but in all actuality, you're disempowering yourself. The worst place to be is to be in that mental space where you can't even distinguish what disempowering actions are and what empowering actions are. Where you think what is empowering, or what you think is empowering you, is actually disempowering you. And what you fail to recognize as disempowering you is actually disempowering you. Whatever why your world is yours. So many people lack that capacity, and that's why their lives are always going to be less than what it ought to be. You cannot be healed by a sick person. Sick people can't heal people, because if they could, they would heal themselves. They would be healed themselves. And ultimately, the realest of all healers recognize that you can't even heal anyone else. Healing doesn't happen from an external source. So most people are seeking healing. What the fuck is healing besides getting back to normal operation, getting back to normal functioning, right? So dysfunction is illness, dysfunctionality, and health synonymous with functionality, functioning, to return back to normal operation and normal functioning. Health is the natural state of all being. If you read my 5th book, The Best Kept Secret, you would realize that you were born perfect, but people make themselves imperfect by adding these defects to themselves, by disempowering themselves or introducing that which creates disharmony to themselves, thinking that it's going to increase the harmony with themselves by themselves. Why your world is yours. I'm not dumbing down the way I speak. If you can't catch up, that means you lack intelligence, and that's just what it is. You got to get smarter, and you have to raise your vibe to meet us at the higher plane, instead of us consistently trying to lower our vibe to meet the lower plane, which is where no one wants to be. Understand that the worst place for you to be in is to be in that space where you think what is empowering you is actually the thing that's disempowering you. So I have to keep saying that because most people don't recognize that. For example, people think that smoking weed or some shit is empowering them. The only reason people do anything in this life is for empowerment. There's not one action that is inextricably linked from some form of empowerment that any human endeavors upon. Nobody had to tell me that. I came to that conclusion on my own. So once you recognize that all activity is based and premised upon some form of empowerment, then you look at the dichotomy between what actions actually empower and what actions actually disempower. So now we look at people who drink, for example. Yeah, they're drinking because they would like to empower themselves in some way. But what happens in the long term and what also happens in the short term is that they disempower themselves. People who smoke, they think that they're empowering themselves, even as something as petty as a cigarette. You smoking a cigarette because you feel weak. There would be no necessity for a cigarette for anything external of yourself if you didn't feel some type of deficiency within yourself that you're seeking to remedy, right? So you can't argue cigarettes. Like, you can look at the fucking box, it tells you it's going to kill you, and you still choose to do it. Why? Because you're feeling weak, and in a moment of weakness, you don't have a proper behavior pattern, you have a proper system, you don't have proper habits that you can run to and build yourself with, as I've been teaching you since day one. Anytime I feel weak, anytime I'm feeling some type of deficiency, I go and fill myself up with constructive, practical, empowering habits that are actually empowering, that every time I do it, I measurably grow. It doesn't have to be exponential, the growth, but incrementally the growth, just as incrementally as the shrinkage and the decay happens with all your other disempowering habits. Whatever your world is yours. So we've just come to the conclusion that all human activity is premised and predicated upon the seeking for empowerment. The worst place to be for any human mind, for any soul, is to not be able to distinguish that which is disempowering from that which is empowering, and to assume that what is disempowering is empowering. Simple as that. So people are looking for power, and they're going to seek power in the same places that they consistently lose it, and they consistently increase weakness. The goal of life is to be self-sufficient. The goal of life is to be independent. The goal of life is to be masterful over self in all conditions. Once you recognize that these individuals are seeking power in places where or seeking freedom in places where they're eventually finding slavery, because everybody would like to say, yeah, I can control it, but they know that they don't want to do it because their intelligence tells them that it's slowly decaying and corroding their existence. Yet they still operate against their intelligence because on some level, this soul is too weak to override the corporeal vessel. Whatever you are, your world is yours. It's really like that. So we get past all the jargon. We get past all the bullshitters. We get past all the people who want to consistently talk. And we just get down to practical results. Whatever you are, your world is yours. It's all about self-empowerment, right? And like I said, the realest healers know that we don't heal anybody. I simply teach people how to correctly heal themselves by facilitating their mental habits and their mental tendencies before anything. Everybody is looking for this sage or this Palo Santo or this drink or this concoction or this external remedy when you're failing to realize that superior conduct is the only thing you need to pay forward. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you are, your world is yours. Once you realize that everybody is holding back the payment, the forward payment of superior conduct and looking for a product outside of themselves to remedy the infirmities that arise from their poor conduct, then you realize that, whatever you are, as I've been saying, you are a byproduct of your conduct. And while people are trying to purchase products, we simply improve our conduct and become superior byproducts. Whatever you are, your world is yours. Consider the vibrations raised. There's no other way to say it. Sick people can't heal people because if they could heal people, they wouldn't be sick themselves. What is sickness besides dysfunction, inharmony, and ultimately disempowerment, a state of disempowerment, and at the baseline, disabling. Power, enablement, to empower, to enable, to become more able. That's what all human activity is based upon. We don't have to talk anymore about that. So now when I say everybody, for the most part on this planet, 99% of these fools are self-debilitating primates, now we get down to the meat and the potatoes of everything, and we understand that it's self-debilitating individuals trying to rehabilitate individuals and make them more able. You can't help me become more able if you still disable yourself. So y'all have to start to pay attention. Some of us, the very few, I swear to God, the rarest of the rare on the planet are the ones that are delivering you an awareness and giving you the mental tools and the intellectual tools and then a practical pathway so that you can construct yourself, enable yourself, empower yourself, develop yourself, and unfold yourself along lines of zero losses and infinite gains. 𝙎𝙝𝙬𝙆𝙎, the straight and narrow path, is the path of infinite gains and zero losses. So whatever you are, your world is yours. Consider the vibrations raised. Sick people can't heal people because if they could, they wouldn't be sick. Disempowered people can't empower people, and self-disabling people can't enable people to do anything because they wouldn't be disabling themselves. Consider the vibrations raised. We're here. We've made it across the world. It's a beautiful life. While you sit back and live in fear and hesitation and self-disablement, what's the vibes? Consider the vibrations raised. Sheikhy Chic, one of the rarest on the planet. You gonna debate that?